Alrighty. Welcome to the Friday night stream. I'm your host, Barflounder39. Today I'll be streaming Bad to Bad Apocalypse. It's been a while, to say the least, and this is something that I fully expected. I have not streamed in a while, and that is because of my new job. I'm finally getting things sorted and squared away, so I can begin not so much regular streaming, but at the very least more consistent streaming, hopefully. So that's the plan right now. Just trying to get down a fair consistency is what it is. Anyway, so I'm trying to think what do I want to do. Right, so for most part, I am currently in the process of doing some stuff. What the hell was I doing last? Alright, so, yeah, alright. So for most part, I guess I'm just wandering around pretty much, trying to get progress, some gear, some extra stuff and the like. Stuff that pretty much will make things go by faster, to say the least. So yeah, that's the plan. Let's go down here. Alright, so yeah. Alright, so yeah, right now, all I'm doing right now is just effectively trying to deal with these guys. Anyway, yeah, I'm trying to just pretty much get some resources and just try and get more stuff squared away, I guess. That's the plan. Alright, time to switch back to the bullshit stock stuff I got. Alrighty. Alright, so I'm trying to think. I don't want to go about this right now. Because for the most part, this is just going to be a lot of, like, exploring the map effectively. And that's really about it. I want to try and get, like, more weapons on hand. I'm trying to think. I think I got my guys kitted out with some modestly decent stuff, but for the most part I could do better. Let me see. I want to get my hands on the... I want to get myself in the BR CZ2. Or the CZ2, effectively. So that's my goal, but of course, if I can get some other stuff as well, that'd be great. Let me see, what materials do I got? Because I think I could probably afford... Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, no, the Barrett is just a fucking punch to the head, effectively. Alright, let me see real quick, because I want to make sure that if I'm gonna get the Barrett, it's just gonna be... Okay, yeah. Fucking Barrett is just gonna be fucking great. It's gonna be fantastic. It's just gonna be just wonderful. Oh, joy. Alright, here we go. No time like the present. Oh my. Oh no. I'm down. I'm down. Alright, let me see here. Gonna need to punch even harder. This is as hard as it gets. Ah, damn it. Alright. Off to a modicum of a start, I suppose. Alright, let's see here. How much is it going to take for me to build that Barrett? Alright, I need to get my hands on some, like, of those parts. Then after that, I'm going to kit out Kong. There we go. Now I can make myself the Barrett. Alrighty, SR-82. Kong, get your ass over here, because you're the only other guy I could think of off the top of my head that uses snipers. Alrighty. Give him some, like, actual gear now. See here, new scope, magazine, alright, well, to say the least, this is the best we got on hand, I guess. Anything I can actually... Looks like he's gotta stick with wearing shitty shoes. Let's see here. Kong, what do you got? He's got threat. Food drop rate plus the grenades. Sure, why not? Make him a big motherfucker as well while we're at it. Kong is probably, now I'm thinking about it, he's probably like the only character that actually has like, it's probably like modestly human. Would he even classify as to having a tail? Alrighty, let's see. Oh, I just realized I got the fucking boonie hat to give him. Alright, so yeah. Okay. Oh, I see. So fucking fire team leader doesn't get point. What is this shit? Yeah, let me see. What's this rate of fire? Why the fuck? Wait, this thing's a fucking full auto Barrett? What the shit? How does that work? What is the fucking magazine size of this fucking thing is? What the fuck? Two-round burst, yeah, of a fucking 50 cal Barrett. 14 shots of a fucking Barrett. Are you kidding me? Damn, Kong, your fucking shoulder must be... Actually, no, that makes sense. He's fucking yoked and jacked as shit because he's been shooting that damn Barrett a lot. God damn, bro. Let's see, ammo, gems. Great. Oh my god, though, seriously. Fucking... Let me see, what can Kong get on his? I don't think you get anything like crazy though. You can't like put like a grenade launcher or anything underneath that sniper, although that'd be hilarious. Nah, the closest thing he'd probably get to that though is like slapping on frag rounds or something like that. And then again, fucking Kong's carrying like a shitload of grenades, so you know. Ugh, boy, there's been a lot of things that have been going on lately. Some things at work, some things I've just been thinking about a little bit. Yeah, but some things, you know, from my personal life to some extent, but no, some of the stuff is from my just personal musings to some extent. I'm trying to think of like what to talk about specifically, at the very least from that. So I've been getting into, to some extent, into manhwas again, a little bit. But yeah, I've been getting into those a little bit more lately, and it's been pretty interesting to the very least reflect on some of the stuff I used to watch. Well, not watch, read. I haven't really kept up with the webtoon, webcomics line of games. Or not line of games, but you know what I mean. The lineup that they got going on. I'm trying to think, like, the last time I thought of a webcomic that I enjoyed, that I actually enjoyed reading, was Lookism and Viral Hit, along with Lookism as well as like Viral Hit, and this one webcomic about like two people's love lives or something like that. Alright. What was that webcomic called? I think it was like, oh, I remember now. It was fuck. There we go. Yeah, My Giant Nerd Boyfriend. That's the one I've been somewhat, my last remembrance of actually reading was. To be honest, it wasn't a bad read. It was actually pretty good. But yeah, overall though, that was the last webcomic I distinctly remember reading that I enjoyed extensively. And to say the least, yeah. Let me see, what do we got? But yeah, to say the least, yeah, that's the one I remember most prominently on the top of my head, if I'm being honest. There's probably some other stuff as well, but yeah, that's the one that I last remember reading extensively. However, I've been going back, as I said, I've been going back to, like, at the very least, see where some of the webcomics I read currently stand to some extent at now. And to say the least, it's been interesting to see where some of them have been going, because some of them have been just, they've wildly changed since I last read them. For example, most prominently I've been looking into again is a webcomic called Lookism. I think I talked about it on stream before. I remember distinctly enough I did talk about it. Anyway, yeah, that was one of the first webcomics I read on Webtoon, and I remember it being pretty good. At least the first part of it was pretty good. You know, when it was like set early on in the high school setting that the but yeah, at the very least, in the early high school setting that it had going on for it, where it was like kind of sort of like slice of life mixed in with like action and drama, you know, typical fucking Korean writing etiquette, I guess you could say. I remember talking about it, and I remember distinctly enough I enjoyed the first few arcs that it had. And this was when, as I said, you know, it was like during its academy school arc. All the characters were pretty much high schoolers to one extent or another. I think specifically the main protagonist was like a second year or something like that. And there was like a few characters that were like first years but looked like they were fucking old as shit or something like that. It was wild. Anyway, I've been looking into that one a bit more, and it's still going on, and it had like a bunch of spin-offs going on with it. I'm trying to remember specifics, but I remember like one of them was like apparently Questism. That one was canceled though, and along with that, yeah, I remember seeing, at least when I was perusing around the Reddit forum for it. Yes, I know, a totally valid place to look around for information, but I remember looking at the forum, and to say the least, yeah, no, it's still going. A lot has changed since then. It's moved away from its like high school drama roots to then something more dramatic, I guess, for lack of a better word to say. Like, we're talking like, oh yeah, you know, it started off as like, looks are more than, you know, being attractive and, you know, stuff like that. You know, sometimes, you know, people are very nice, you know, or they have like a very hidden talent and some such like that, right? That was like the whole crux of the early stages of Lookism, is what I'll say. And by the time the fucking arc where we're at now happens, it is just wildly changed from being a high school drama about, like, you know, some guy, you know, gaining confidence in himself, you know, and, you know, becoming more comfortable in his own body, and, you know, he's making like self-improvement goals and the like, to then all of a sudden this guy is like fighting, like going around fighting like a bunch of gangsters, and apparently he's got like this like crazy good, but like this crazy potential to be like a really good fighter, but it's unrealized and shit. And now he's just like going around just like fighting like gangs and shit, and fucking like engaging in martial artist stuff. It's fucking wild. As I mentioned, it's fucking wild as shit as to how much the whole story has changed since its original inception. I can't say this is like something that I would take a direction in, but you know, people love it, and it's one of the few reasons why people are still reading it to some extent. I can't say I'm of the same vein, at least 100%. You know, it's like, oh yeah, this is crazy, you know, this is a crazy, you know, type of stuff to see, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, these are high schoolers, right? You just see me like looking around, just like, you pretty much would see me like looking around, just like, these are supposed to be high schoolers, right? Are we sure that these are, you know, they're meant to like do stuff like this? They are? Fuck. I don't know. I might have to pick up reading it again, because I might have to pick up reading it again because of how just ape shit it is. But at the same time, I'm not sure if I would have like the stomach, so to speak, to at the very least see where the story will go now. I'm sure whatever the author has in mind, it'll pan out to a modest extent, because I know like apparently one story arc that the author had was regarding like one character specifically. I'm trying to remember specifically. It was like he was like a character that was like set up to be like the next antagonist, but when that happened, the author pretty much unceremoniously killed off that character. Give me a second. Let me look that up, because I remember hearing something about that. Let me see. Who is this guy? I'm trying to really remember. I'm really trying to remember. Jesus Christ almighty. Where is this fucking prick? I remember that he was like a side character that was, you know, part of the main protagonist's main crew and such. But like after something happened, the fucker just went full Joker or something like that. He just went full Joker. He just went like, I'm the Joker, baby, and just fucking went around and just started doing crazy shit. Oh, there we go. I found his name. So for the sake of brevity, this is a Korean webcomic. I'm talking about Lookism. The main character's name, his Korean name is Park Hyung-suk. I believe that's how you say it. I could be incorrect on the assessment. However, the English translation is Daniel Park. And so this other character is Ji-ho Park, or his Korean name is actually the same way. But yeah, no, these two are not related. Park is just, from what I understand, a common Korean name, so to say the least, you know, whatever. But yeah, no, this character, Ji-ho Park, if I'm not mistaken, you know, he was subbed to be the next antagonist for the main protagonist, Daniel, to take on. But, you know, I think fan reception did not like him, and so as a result, he was unceremoniously killed off, and any possible like story hooks the author had, any story hooks that the author had just kind of went out the window, because there was like a bunch of threats, as well as just like a bunch of like voice complaints like about how they did not like this character at all. Which I guess, to be fair, from what I remember of like reading previous arcs, chapters, you know, such of this that did involve this character, it kind of was like, I'm trying to think. he kind of was like the Jar Jar Binks of, characters. He was supposed to be like the comic relief character to some extent, and then they made him like turn into like this slimy caricature, or the author had this like idea to like make him more slimy, more more like pretty much willing to like undercut or backstab his friends and the like type of deal, that sort of thing. And I think that kind of sort of led to like him betraying the protagonist unknowingly to some extent. Unknowingly, I wish I would say to some extent, because the way it happened is that the main protagonist is like, he has like two bodies. Yes, I know, this is going on a huge side tangent, but bear with me. The protagonist of Lookism has two bodies, and this is like this whole idea early on where he has to like balance his like, normal fat body to this more taller, leaner, handsomer body. And so, this, because of this whole dichotomy between like, experiencing two lives and the like, and two perspectives and such, he's pretty much seeing a color of life that he never would have seen if he was just a normal person. So, like his normal fat body, which at this point in time is no longer fat and is now like lean and fit to some extent, pretty much closer to his second body to some extent or another. It's fucking wild, like I said. But I digress, I digress. I return back to format. So yeah, this whole thing happened because, this whole idea of, of this guy, Jiho, being the antagonist, stemmed from the fact that he was built up to be slimy. He was built up to be like this, like, more scummy, more, not so loyal caricature and more self-serving. And this would have been an interesting contrast and foil to Daniel, if I'm being honest. Because Daniel, the way he's portrayed is much more outside of like, him fighting and being like this like crazy good, adaptable, quick on his feet, learning martial artist. He is a very much mild-mannered, fair person, But he's a very mild-mannered, casual, easygoing guy, he's like he gets along with people, he's like a people pleaser to some extent, that sort of thing. And so when it comes to Jiho specifically, again, from my recountants, he's, again, more self-serving, and by proxy, he's a lot more, willing to do underhanded things if it means he gets, a huge benefit out of it. And so, again, because of fan reception, because at this point, people were really not happy with the fact that this character, that this, like, literal joke of a character was given, like, such a high-end antagonistic role all of a sudden, it just rubbed people the wrong way, is from what I can guess at the very least. I can't say I condone that, and I thought it would be, at least in retrospect, somewhat interesting to see. But, it's what's done is done, and, it's fucking, it isn't the first time the author has forgotten a story beat. Nope, give me a sec. Give me a sec. You hitting the sack? I'm gonna hit the sack in about an hour or so. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to, yeah. Anyway. What was we talking about? Oh, yes, Lookism. Yeah, this isn't the first time the author... Apologies for the disruption. Had to put away some stuff and also brush my teeth. Anyway. What was I talking about? Oh yes, lookism and how wild it is and how I believe... Ah, yes, that's right. How the author, I'm trying to remember, how the author, like, dropped... It wouldn't be the first time he dropped story beats, given the fact that Ji-woo Park was supposed to be an antagonist at one point, but got cut really early on because of a huge amount of fan backlash to some extent. And yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yes, that's right. Okay. So when it comes to like story beats that were kind of sort of dropped unceremoniously, funnily enough, when it comes to the main protagonist and the main leading lady, supposedly, lookism initially, at the very least, had seeds to, at the very least, like, make or have, like, the main protagonist, Daniel, fall in love with, like, a main heroine to some extent. And to that degree, that role was originally meant for someone else altogether. But yeah, that role was meant for someone else altogether. And originally, she was supposed to be like, again, the whole idea to some extent was like having this like cruel parallel between Daniel and some of the people he's interacted with. Like, for example, Ji-woo Park being more self-serving whilst Daniel's more selfless. And, some such like that, right? There was supposed to be a main heroine, supposedly, to some extent, is what I'm gonna say, because I'm not sure if she's involved in the story at this point in time. And this one character is named Crystal Choi, and to which Crystal Choi was supposed to be, again, much like Daniel, having two bodies, and having like this dual perspective, right? And it was theorized that her, well, to some extent, fat body is supposedly her second body, whilst her first body is this like this conventionally attractive woman, effectively. Oh, let's see, hold on. But yeah, and so that's the dichotomy between the two. Whereas Daniel has like the perspective of, humility of like coming from a much more, for lack of a better word, poorer and much more humbler origin. Crystal Choi comes from a more uppity, more richer background, effectively. Her whole deal is the fact that she's much more cynical, she's much more cynical, and she's much more just disliking of generally conventionally attractive people in general. And to some extent, at the very least in the few arcs she's in, it kind of works. However, at the same time, while it kind of worked for like the short term, long term wise, it kind of fell at the wayside with how the story, kind of sort of fell at the wayside with how in the long term she just did not have any like strong characterization, on the fact that she just does not like, playboys and all these like people that are using their good looks to like get by in life and such. Yeah, she just does not like all these. She just does not like the some of the people that are trying to like gain and curry favor with her because she's rich. And yes, give me a sec. Alright, I'm back. I'm back again. Sorry, I had to make sure my phone was here. Anyway, what was we talking about? Oh yes, Crystal Choi and lookism. So yeah, no, for most part, as I was saying. Yeah, for Crystal Choi, her characterization just went only so far. She only had like a few chapters where she had like any nuanced development to some extent. However, I think that after like a certain point, her involvement just kind of sort of literally fell at the wayside and just fell into obscurity. I mean, she still exists as a character. You can't, remove someone as pivotal as her from the story. But at the same time, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Just let me clear this out. There we go. Excellent. Alright, but yeah, as I was saying, so yeah, for Crystal Choi, yeah, no, she did not receive much development from my understanding after like a certain point. I think, I'm trying to remember specifically, she still exists as a character, however, she has not interacted with Daniel in any way whatsoever since like the early chapters of the game. Or not early chapters of the game, early chapters of the story, sorry. Alright, but yeah. She's not received any strong characterization or even developments in terms of her interpersonal relationship to Daniel. Instead, she's just kind of like there, awkwardly, so to speak. Kind of sort of like a what if-ism, I guess you could say, as to what her character could have been. Because she went from being like a side character, budding to be kind of sort of a protagonist or, a recurring character in Daniel's, adventures, to then being like, yeah, she's there. And that's really the best way I could describe it for how she is, to be honest. She's just there. She's existing, I guess. But yeah, she's just there, existing, I suppose. She's just, yeah. Funnily enough, for her role as heroine, it was, I'd like to think at the very least, it was meant for her, but it got, like, so hilariously and unironically superseded and usurped by another character who is, yeah, it was, but yeah, no, I'm trying to, like, really trying to put the words like how hilarious it is in retrospect, as well as just like seeing how it pans out, because it is genuinely one of the more fucking hilarious things I've ever seen in how a character was fucking like changed. So I suspect why Crystal Choi's characterization was like left to the wayside was because her character was, again, as I mentioned, superseded and usurped by another character who was in the story much earlier than she was, and was meant to be like kind of sort of like a one-off, character, kind of sort of like a trope, I guess you could say. But because of the amount of stories that involve her, she is undoubtedly like the equal to Daniel's story, or the main heroine / primary love interest for lookism. And that comes in the form of Hanyeo. Give me a sec. What's her name again? Or what's her last name again? I know specifically her first name. Park Hanyeo. There we go. Or it's Hanyeo Park, or whichever, however you say it. But yeah, Park Hanyeo, otherwise known as Zo Park. Again, no relation, because, Park is a fucking common name. Anyway, so Zo Park, for context, at this point in time, and to why her character was supposedly a one-off before it just changed so much. Zoe Park was a character introduced in the early days of Lookism. This along with like a handful of other characters. So, for context, you have like a boxer named Zach, you have a brawler named Vasco, you have the boxer's love interest Mira, and then you have like you have the mysterious, friendly, the mysterious, friendly stranger Jay, right? And so Hanyal Zoe was pretty much introduced alongside with them. And unlike unlike Zach or Mira or Jay, she was portrayed to be much more shallow and, theoretically lacking any real depth to her characterization. That's how she was initially portrayed and, how she was conveyed. However, that changed after one arc involving her. And this was her, I'm trying to remember specifically, because this was like most prominent in my mind and just like how she changed dramatically. She had pretty much, in one arc in the early days of Lookism, had a story revolving around her being like this, new up and coming like streamer and the like, right? Pretty much think like kind of sort of like, I'm trying to find the best analogy for this. Think kind of sort of like Amaranth and Pokimane and, Belle Delphine and all that type of stuff, the e-girl epidemic, as it were. Pretty much, she was a proprietor, or, the symptom, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? She was pretty much, a key character in that story. To which her role was to effectively, if I'm not mistaken in that story, she wanted to like get like money. Yeah, she wanted to like get money and the like, and so pretty much by streaming and doing like these like quasi provocative, streams, these kind of sort of but not really, but they really are sexually charged streams where she doesn't like really do anything, she doesn't really do anything like, explicit, but it's the undertone that matters. Yeah, it's the undertone that matters. That type of stuff, sort of thing that really drives home what her, drives home like the whole wanton desire. Yeah, she was pretty much. Oh, sorry, give me a second. I'm just getting scattershot. Let me. Okay. So yeah, effectively, she becomes like this pretty big streamer to some extent, getting like huge donations and getting like a fair following. And the whole thing about this story boils down to the fact that Zoe is being like online stalked by like this like very dubious character. This dubious character, he's pretty much, for lack of a better word, like the typical, e-girl simp, mass donations, hoping that his name gets called out, in terms of recognition, and, he kind of sort of like, inappropriately misinterprets his parasocial relationship to this, to Zoe as being like one of like genuine romantic and actual relationship and the like. So as a result of this whole ordeal, Zoe is effectively in trouble, and the only way it is really resolved is when Daniel, in his original body, not his like tall, handsome, athletic body, his original, at this point in time, fat, chubby body, he goes up and he pretty much goes in to save Zoe. At this point in time, the relationship between Zoe and Daniel is very simple, to say the least. She does not know that Daniel has two bodies, and she mostly has the hots for Daniel's, handsome body. And that's the real gist of it. However, at this point in time, when Daniel in his original body, unknowingly to Zoe, is going off and saving her, she has a change of heart. She has a change of heart, and at first she's like really confused to some extent, I guess, as to why this person that she initially, when she met, insulted is coming out to save her. And save her from this like online stalker and like, right? But when like the dust is settled and the like, and you know, when he's like pretty much standing his ground, you know, he tries to fight back, but he gets his ass kicked, Daniel. He pretty much fucking goes through like a whole Senseiya thing. No, actually, that's too far, actually. Sensei is too fucked up by comparison. But yeah, fucking Daniel gets his ass kicked in his original body because, you know, he's not fit, he's not, you know, trained in any formal martial arts and the like. And so pretty much the one that saves the day, really, by, you know, stopping and beating the stalker is Vasco. However, because Daniel was the first to like come out to save her and, you know, try and, you know, stand his ground, she kind of falls for him because he got his ass kicked. And, you know, because despite being, you know, insulted and, you know, kind of sort of, you know, made fun of by Zoe, he still goes out of his way to help her. And that, to say the least, is what incentivized her to have a change of heart and, you know, have like a attraction to him. Initially, when this happened, it was kind of sort of like played for laughs a little bit. The fact that it's like, oh haha, now, oh haha, Here, give me a sec. Yeah, it's like, oh haha, the beautiful girl is falling for the fat guy and like, right? That it was kind of sort of like played off as a bit of a joke, you know, a bit of like a gag for a while, but then it evolved to being like something more, to say the least. It evolved for Zoe from being like, you know, like, oh, you know, savior, fall in love thing to like genuinely actually falling in love with original Daniel's body. And again, I should remark and remiss throughout the entire time, she does not know that Daniel has two bodies. And so the more and more she like pretty much hangs out with you know, Daniel's original body, the more and more she becomes like infatuated and in love with him. And, you know, kind of sort of, you know, still has the hots for handsome Daniel, but she knows, you know, original Daniel. She knows, you know, the original body a lot more by comparison. And so that's where the relationship stood for the longest I knew. However, when I came back, like probably like a few months ago before I, you know, got into it again more recently, Hanyul's relationship to Daniel has only deepened since. Yeah, forget Crystal. I'm all about that Zoe and Daniel ship, boys. That ship is like literally sailing off, and it's going through some turbulence, but it's still sailing. I can't say the same for the Crystal Daniel ship, because let's just say that ship was built on harbor and it fucking sank before it even had a chance to be finished. That's the best way to describe that. I'm trying to think like specifics now as to like what. Yeah, I'm trying to think like specifics as to like a handful of instances that I could think of off the top of my head. For example, I'm trying to think when Daniel's old bully comes by to like. Yeah, when Daniel's old bully comes to like his school to he comes to his school to, you know, I don't know, transfer over to his high school. I'm trying to remember specifically. This was a guy named Logan Lee who was like shown off in the beginning. But during this arc, or during this story arc, Daniel was kind of sort of going through a turmoil, an inner turmoil where he was like very afraid of his inner turmoil where he's very afraid of his old bully because he hasn't confronted him up to this point. And so, you know, while Daniel's, you know, going off and being afraid of Logan, his old bully, Logan is going after Zoe, Logan is going after Zoe, who has like no interest or attraction to him, but has coerced her into a relationship. And so, because she has a very close connection to Daniel, she's pretty much forced and coerced to be in a relationship with this scumbag character, and effectively, you know, she's doing it to protect Daniel. However, when Daniel catches wind of this by Crystal, who's fucking chastising him for, you know, because that's all her character is at this point. When this comes to his attention as to, like, you know, Zoe is dating, when it comes to, like, Zoe dating Logan because of him, he fucking mans the fuck up, for lack of a better word. There's a lot more to it, but he pretty much guts the fuck up and just, like, goes off to face and confront Logan in his handsome form, but now his like I'm trying to think, his confidence is now been properly, you know, resolved. He has like much more assurance in himself. There's still some lingering fear, but I think he overcomes that to some extent. And pretty much faces off against Logan and just gets much more, and pretty much faces the demons of his past to some extent. And when the time comes for that great revelation, the fact that, you know, Logan can no longer coerce Zoe to be in a relationship with him and such, it's great, to say the least. It's great because it's not just, you know, handsome Daniel doing all the heavy lifting, but it's also OG Daniel doing the lifting as well. Because this is like sort of like a joint venture for him or this is a joint job for Daniel to do effectively with his two bodies. One is to like face against Logan and confront his past, and the other to actually enforce the fact that he does not trouble his friend, because again, yeah, his friend Zoe, because while I'm not sure if there's any romantic notions between the two, I hope there is. Well, there isn't like any direct romantic relation between the two yet. It still serves to show that Daniel is sticking up for his friends still, and for his new way of life to some extent. And it's great. I love it. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. This is the peak shit I've come to fucking eat and love, you know? That's really the best way to describe it. It's fantastic. I loved reading that arc a bit. I especially loved reading the end when, you know, Logan gets fucking, when he pretty much knows he's at a loss to a great degree. But yeah, no, I know that Zoe hasn't been in any of the more recent chapters as of late because, well, the author is focusing on like other things. But Zoe unironically has more presence, more fucking appearances in the author's other works. From fucking Questism to Viral Hit, Zoe Park is the fucking main heroine of Lookism. And it's pretty much unofficially spoken at this, it's all but officially spoken at this point. She is the poster girl, whether the author wants to acknowledge it or not. He has made Zoe the poster girl for Lookism. You know, you have like a few other girls too, don't get me wrong. You know, you still have like Mira, the boxer's girlfriend. You still have Crystal Choi, who is like still a character and is attractive, I guess. But no, when you think of like definitive like leading lady and, you know, supporting character for Daniel, whether that be like his friends or something like that, she is among the roster as well as among the faces you think of when it comes to the fucking Lookism. She is that fucking popular, I'd say. Oh. But yeah, she is that prevalently and she's that prevalent and that prominent in terms of like actual story and staying power. It's just great. I love it.
She's pretty much the Mary Jane to Daniel Park's Peter Parker. I would say Gwen Stacy, but let's be honest, Gwen Stacy has got her back snapped for one reason or another. Alright, let's see. What do I got? Alright, so I'm trying to think right now. When it comes to... Alright, there we go. Alright, so when it comes to the... I'm trying to think specifics right now. When it comes to, like, other stuff that I've been looking into, what else outside of Lookism have I been looking into, like, other pieces of media? I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance lately. It's been pretty good. I've streamed the first few hours of Kingdom Come, and it was great. I loved it. I, not too long ago, actually picked up the Lion's Crest full armor set effectively, and it's quite the journey. It's very interesting to get, and I've been actually power leveling my way through the early game of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I'm trying to think right now. When it comes to Kingdom Come 2, I feel like everything is pretty much a straight upgrade from the original game, which isn't surprising, given that the original game was really... scuffed is a bit of a strong word, but it was definitely not as optimal or polished as it could have been. I want to say, like, now when it comes to Kingdom Come Deliverance, the gameplay's been improved from Kingdom Come 2. Give me a second, let me see. Oh my god. I will literally trade this poison for actual usable equipment. Alright, Alright, so yeah, I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 much more lately. It's been pretty great, all things considered. I've been enjoying my time going through the early game of Kingdom Come. It's been very interesting, you know, power leveling my way through. Yeah, that's all I could say right now when it comes to how it's being panned out. I'm just really enjoying it all. Yeah, I'm just really enjoying it all, and how I've been just improving in game. Let me see, what do we got? What can I get my hands on? So yeah, I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's been going really well, I'd say. Fucking... I've been trying to avoid, like, major spoilers and the like, as well as, like, I'm trying to think specifics right now. I've been trying to avoid, like, doing, like, any, like, critical content to some extent. So, I'm trying to, like, pretty much build my stats up, effectively. That's what I've been doing. Time to shit tar. Alright, so yeah. I've just been power leveling my way through Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's been pretty great, all things considered. I recently got my strength up to like level 12, and I got my vitality up to like 14. In which the best way I've been doing it is pretty much getting myself over encumbered, and that's it. I'd say combat is to some extent kinda improved over the first game. Kinda being the key word here, because I know that it's still very clunky depending on how you... But yeah, the game is still pretty clunky, all things considered, when you account for like all the stuff that you're gonna be doing and the like, and how some of it is just not as well executed as it could be. Because it's going for like the For Honor style of combat where you have like 4 directions and such to like attack and guard from, it kind of sort of like makes the game harder to account for, especially when you account for the fact that the enemies always like block and parry your attacks, which, you know, isn't a problem inherently, but at the same time it's also kind of sort of an insufferable pain in the ass when you have to account for like the amount of stuff that you need to like do, and the only way you're able to get by is if you're like high enough level. I have a feeling that the way that Kingdom Come Deliverance is meant to be played is pretty much this. You need to first level yourself up in order for you to get any like good experience, and you need to like do all this like mundane shit before you actually get to the, you know, root and nitty gritty of it. Pretty much, to say the least, it's the equivalent of playing Gothic, except Gothic, yeah, it's pretty much the equivalent of you playing Gothic and just pretty much just going hog wild early game instead of like actually getting into it. Actually, no, now that I think about it, that's just Gothic. You first start off as like bottom of the barrel and, you know, kind of shit, and then all of a sudden you become like, you know, this force of nature to be reckoned with and the like. Alright, but yeah, that's probably the way that the game is meant to be played, the Gothic way. You need to level yourself up like crazy before you can actually do anything significant. However, unlike Gothic, well actually much like Gothic actually, now I'm thinking about it, it's very easy and stupidly exploitable how you do it. It's just a matter of how much commitment you're willing to do to it. Yeah, it's a matter of just how much commitment are you willing to sink into your bit. Because, well, it's going to take not a while, but a short amount of time. I wonder how that Gothic game is going to pan out, that new Gothic remake. Because I know that... I'm really trying to remember. Yeah, the Gothic remake, it's been talked about to some extent as to how... Yeah, the Gothic remake has been, like, touted off to be a new way of playing Gothic. It's pretty much going to be a full remake of the original game. However, the problem is that Piranha Bytes is not directly involved with the game. So, to some extent, it's kind of sort of like... I actually played the playable teaser, and the playable teaser was... It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. You know how... Oh man, I'm really trying to find the best way to describe it, because the way it was like showcased, it showcased like the worst elements of Gothic. And when I say that, I'm mostly referring to like, it's pretty much almost antithetical as to how it worked, or how the story's conveyed. You didn't have the ability to like, get your ass kicked and, bear the consequences of it, take a sword from someone, and, just, try and get away with it. You had the main character that just, like, babbled on, just, like, constantly. So pretty much you always have, like... So pretty much you had, like, the main character who in the first game didn't really speak that much unless spoken to. And here he's kind of like fucking Guardians of the Galaxy, like fucking Peter Quill dialogue to some extent. I'm trying to think, like, how do I best convey it right now? It's like, alright, yeah, I need to get myself a sword. Yeah, a sword. Yeah, I gotta get out of here now. Yeah, this way will work. This way should get me out of here and the like. Yeah, I'll go this way, yeah. Something like that. It's just like really... It's a sign of the time. It's a sign that the developers were trying to like modernize the writing of Gothic in a way that seemed arbitrary. It went from like having like this main protagonist who was like very, he didn't speak that much, but when he spoke, it was comedy gold, to now whenever he speaks, he just won't shut the fuck up. That's the best way to describe the Gothic playable teaser main character and how he's written. Oh, excellent. I can now make a bulletproof vest. In theory, I don't know if I can actually. Which is better. Status resistance. Recovery rate. Alright. Alright, but yeah. Alright, but yeah. Circling back to Kingdom Come Deliverance, I've been keeping my ears and... Alright, so back to what I was... So I've been keeping my ears to the ground as to, like, how people have been receiving Kingdom Come Deliverance. And the reception has been very fair for the game, to be honest. Reception to the game has been very fair. There's some, like, people that are, like, kinda sort of, like, trying to undercut its achievements and, you know, all the good stuff that it has for it. But outside of that, it's just been universal, almost unanimous and universal praise for the game all around. It's great. She doesn't even use the damn grip. I'm keeping the grip then. Alright. So yeah, it's been pretty much almost universal and unanimously spoken, like, it's been receiving its praise fairly so. Some people have been trying to undercut it, but overall, people have been very receptive as to... But yeah, it's been very... Oh, give me a sec. Alright, but yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance has been receiving pretty much praise from everyone. It's pretty great to hear, all things considered. If there was only one thing I were to complain about, this is the inner gatekeeper inside of me just wanting to say this to some extent. It's just that when it comes to people, like, praising the second game, I can't help but just, like, scoff and, like, I can't help but just kind of, like, scoff a little bit and just be like, where were you for the first game then, huh? I'm sorry, where the fuck were you? I came a little late, but I played the first game. You're out here. Give me a sec. Alright, give me a sec to try and clean house here. Alright, as I was saying, so the inner gatekeeper in me is just like wanting to, like, scoff and just be like, just pretty much be like, oh, it's like, was like, oh, that's cool and all, but where the fuck were you for the first game, huh? I was late for the party, but at least I actually came by and played the damn thing. You know, it's like you got all these people like fucking coming out of the woodworks like saying, oh my god, Kingdom Come Deliverance changed my life, you know, it's changed me in some way. It's like, really? A game like Kingdom Come has changed you in that profound of a manner? It's like I call bullshit a little bit. This is how RPGs were played back then, before the, you know, streamlining and modernization like Bethesda games and the like, in which, you know, Bethesda games has its place with the amount of streamlining it did. However, there's nothing that you can't beat when it comes to like actual, like, you know, character building and the like, with like Kingdom Come Deliverance or Gothic and the like. Alright, give me a sec. Alrighty. So anyways, I was saying, so, yeah, no, I'm just scoffing and just thinking to myself, like, where were you for the first game? Oh, I know, you weren't playing it because, you know, it was, like, written off as being as a piece of shit. I know, I know, because I've seen people talk about it and, you know, fucking dog on it, on how, like, terrible it is and, like, I'm not kidding as well, because I remember distinctly enough the fact that a lot of the complaints come from the fact that, like, how realistic it was, and, you know, how it was, like, trying to account for, like, a variety of things, and how the combat kind of blowed chunks and the like. And so yeah, the fact that that people are now coming out of the woodworks and just like kind of like, oh yeah, I knew that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was great. It's like, I knew Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was gonna be great. It's like, I didn't even think, I'm gonna be honest with you, I played the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, I didn't even think it was gonna get a sequel, if I'm being honest. Because while the first game I enjoyed, I recognized and realized that it's a very, very fucking niche title as to who the demographic is for. Because the demographic is for like people that really like hardcore RPGs. And the fact that all these other people, these game journalists and the like, are coming out of the woodworks, and all these like people that are like, these people, the same people that are like dogging on games for being like decent. And these same people that are like dogging on these games for like being decent, like, I'm really trying to think off the top of my head, but I want to say Starfield, but to some extent that might invalidate my claim a bit, because people are gonna dog on that being dog shit as well. But you know, to each their own. But yeah, no, it's fucking. So all these people are coming out of the woodworks, and I can't help but just like scoff at that a little bit. It's laughable, the fact that these people are now seeing what Kingdom Come Deliverance is now, when, you know, they could before. Some of them did, but they didn't have the stomach, they didn't have the fortitude, the love that I did to actually see it through. And guess what? Guess who the hell is like giving praise to a game, to Kingdom Come Deliverance, and, you know, following the hype train? It's the usual fucking suspects. The usual suspects are the people that are following popular games. Which, you know, to be fair, popular games exist for a reason. Even I myself like popular games, like Resident Evil 4, and, you know, the occasional Star Wars game here and there and the like. But still, all things considered, when it comes to like people like Luke Stevenson's and the like, and his opinions, and, you know, all these other people like that are similar to him in some respects, where they like dog on one game for being competently decent, and then the next minute under the same breath praise like this other game that's more popular, is like I can't help but roll my eyes a little bit and just be like, ugh. Alright, I'm being hyperbolic. I'm getting into this negative tirade right now. So let me try and break it off a bit. I'm glad Kingdom Come Deliverance is getting the recognition it deserves, but at the same time, this feeling of just like all these like people like coming in like later, like way later, and it's just like, did you even play the first game? Like, come on, man. I played the first game, and I didn't think this game would even get a sequel in the first place. It would have been nice, but still. But yeah, no, I'm glad that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is out, and I'm glad that it actually, is getting the praise that it rightfully deserves. It deserves a little flack, I'm not gonna lie. The combat is a little clunky still, but overall, it's a very well-made, well-balanced, well-loved package, all things considered. And so yeah, I like it. Alrighty, I'm trying to think now. Any other final things I got going on in my head of mine? Oh, that's right. Live service games are dying now. It is both a sad and great time to be living in a time where live service games are dropping like flies. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sad that a game like X Defiant is being shut down, and I'm kind of sad that like other games as well are suffering the same fate, like to some extent Toonverse, I believe it's called, right? The one with Warner Brothers property fighting against each other and the like. I'm kind of sad that those games are kind of like dying off, but I'm also kind of glad that other games are kind of like kicking it as well. Like for example, you got Concord. That was the most recent blunder by fucking AAA studios and the like. You got fucking, I'm trying to think what else. You got the Self-Termination Boys kill the Justice League and like, fucking was insane, right? You got the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League and like, right? And how their game got fucking unceremoniously kicking the bucket and the like. It's sad. I will say this, it's sad that these games are being shut down in a way because, people's hard work is being lost. However, just as well, this is the consequence of live service games and just what is happening to gaming as a result of turning to this live service model. A lot of people's artistic work and efforts are going to waste, and there's no way to replay them, and worst of all, no way to remember them and try and learn a lesson from what came of these games. Concord has been pulled, yeah, sure, that's both terrible and great, but at the same time, this also showcases that we can't learn from what Concord's fuck-ups made. What went wrong with Concord other than like literally everything? What went wrong with Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and everything attached to it? It's very fascinating and terrible at the same time that there's no way to actually like look and see how these games have failed in every respect they have. Because none of these games had an end of service plan in mind. Unironically, and this is something that I will stand by, Redfall is the only fucking game, only live service game I have on hand that is still replayable and has my respect for actually adding an offline mode. Originally, Microsoft was going to just going to kill and axe Redfall without the online mode. There wasn't going to be any final update or anything to the game. But some fucking rogue developer, someone from Arcane Austin before the shutdown, fucking pushed out the final patch, the final offline patch for Redfall, and said, fuck it, these people are not going to lose their money. I want my work to be remembered in some form or fashion and actually dissected as to where it went wrong. And just pretty much, it still is able to be played to this day. It's still able to be continued to be played. And whoever the fuck did that for Redfall of all games, the worst game of like 2023 for some people, they have my respect, to be honest. They have my legit respect for actually like making the game playable post-mortem. Despite the fact that an end of service plan was never meant for the game, you know, despite the fact that the end of service plan was never really planned out, the fact that an offline mode exists still, and the fact that an offline mode was pushed out before Microsoft could really say no is astounding, and is just a testament to how games should be to some extent, preserved in all its foul and pleasant glory. But yeah, so that's how. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on with. So yeah, that's what's been going on with games now. I've actually been looking into other stuff lately, particularly at the very least. Because I've been playing Red Dead Redemption, I kind of sort of been, you know, looking into Star Wars Outlaws. The most latest of Ubisoft's blunders. Anyway, give me a sec. Alright, so yeah. Because I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 lately, I to some extent have been, you know, being recommended by YouTube to see Star Wars Outlaw stuff, in which, to say the least, it's been fascinating to see what Ubisoft thought a Star Wars Outlaws, you know, gunslinger game would even be like in the first place. And I'm just not gonna lie to you, it's laughable to some extent. The gameplay from many accounts has been very stiff and uninspired. The dialogue and storytelling has just been nil and just been null and void. But yeah, the whole instance of the game is just kind of sort of null and void with the way that the game has just been... The way that the game has just been trying to tell itself is awful. Mechanics just barely functioning or just not as flushed out as it should be. Along with the fact that, I'm trying to remember distinctly, the main character is just not really that charming or likable in the first place. The best way I could describe it from my seeings of it is just the fact that the main protagonist of Star Wars Outlaw is just like the typical snarky character and the like, you know? But yeah, it's pretty much your typical like snarky character, your typical smartass. Like, it's like, oh wow, is that? Give me a sec. It's like, oh wow, that's so. It's like, oh wow, that's what you're calling yourself? I'm quirky. You know, that type of dialogue and the like. It's just, it is just painfully mediocre, is what I'll say. Bad is a strong word, and it could get there. However, it's mediocre on how they think they could portray like this morally gray outlaw type character. And I've actually seen some people trying to defend Star Wars Outlaws, in which, you do you. I will not admonish you for, defending what you like. However, I would also like to extend the olive branch and say that, are you really sure this is the dialogue you think it is? Because as far as I could tell you, the dialogue of Star Wars Outlaws is not comparably good compared to, say, a game like Red Dead Redemption, a game full of morally gray characters and very full of narratively gray characters, people that are complex morally and what's the word for it? Philosophically. There we go. You got like actual complex characters. You have like characters like Arthur Morgan, who's like a man that never thought he could find himself to be good, but by the end of the game, he to some extent found his redemption to some extent or another. Even in John Marston, in the first Red Dead Redemption game, he is, somewhat stuck in his outlaw's ways. However, he's trying to break free of that. He's trying to be a better man for his family because, they were taken by the Pinkertons. And as a result, he has to try and, become a better man, find that redemption within himself as well as in others as well. It's kind of the whole point of these games, at the very least, when you break down the main characters and how they're meant to be. What is Star Wars Outlaws characters meant to be again? What's the protagonist's whole deal? She's an outlaw and she's got like these things going on for her. I really couldn't tell you because her characterization is just nil. It's not interesting. It's just the typical, oh, I'm so quirky, character. You know what I'm talking about, the fucking Rick and Morty syndrome, more particularly the Morty syndrome, where it's like, in order for you to be like an awkward, relatable character, you have to be like, you gotta stutter, you gotta be unconfident in yourself, and you gotta be unsure, it's like, come on, really? If I wanted to play that in a game, I just fucking look in a mirror and that's it. Alright, so yeah. Let me see here, actually, I think I could probably... There we go, dismantle some materials, get some of that. Alright, but yeah, that's where things stand overall for how the writing of Outlaws is, from my basic understanding of me looking around at cutscenes and two. And I don't need to I don't need to play the game to know that the gameplay is just not that fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, when it comes to Star Wars games and their combat, usually it's a mixed bag. Lightsaber combat can go from hack and slash to like Jedi Knights, really good, very smooth type stuff, to then being like really, Give me a sec, I'm reorganizing my character stuff. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, woo! Alright, look at this. This place is coming out to be real nice. Alright, but yeah. Funnily enough, when finishing up my thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws, when I was looking around as to like what people thought of it, there was like this one comment on YouTube that kind of sort of like made me scoff and laugh a little bit, in the sense that it's just like, yeah, right. Yeah, right, that's why you like this game. You just want to be the contrarian. Because I'm trying to remember, it's like, a comment was like something along the lines of like, it's like, because not everybody wants to play not everyone wants to play a super mega Jedi guy. They want to play a regular person. It's like, yeah, right. That's the reason why people want to play. Why people like Star Wars Outlaws. Maybe the concept of being a normal person, but when your character is this literal dog shit and and the story's literally poorly written to the point that is just like barely even gray. It's like the most lightest shit you could possibly imagine. It's kind of like, yeah, no, that's you're lying to me. You're looking me in the eyes. You can lie to me all you want, but you can't lie to yourself as to like how just mid it is and how poorly buckled the concept is for the game. If you like it, fair enough, you like it. I like Starfield. However, you gotta admit the writing's pretty shit. At least with Starfield, you could overlook the writing a little bit. I'll get into that another point in time. It's getting late on my end and I gotta get going actually. So that'll be all for this one. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the stream. If you want to see more, I'll be picking this up Monday, probably. Hopefully. I'll try. I'll do Starfield actually. That's something I want to be doing actually. And yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I'll see you next one. That being on possibly on Monday. If not, then whenever I can. Till then, take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.